It's time to hit a Rikishi bomb into some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. Starting with our first bit of news, boys, we're going to be talking about Ricardo Rodriguez and how he's opening up about the dangerous effects of pro wrestling. He calls it a rock and roll lifestyle, which is fair. Rodriguez spoke about his addiction in a conversation with Pennsylvania's Fox 43. He recently opened up about his struggles with drugs and alcohol while on the road with WWE. Ricardo said, "One day I woke up in San Antonio, Texas, and I woke up in a hospital in a detox center." Rodriguez said, "I don't know how I got there. I ended up reaching out on social media, on Twitter, that I needed to get help." The former announcement wrestler has been open about his addiction issues in the past and has completed several treatments in rehab to help him stay sober. An unfortunate downside to all the traveling and life we led was the addiction side of the rock and roll lifestyle, of being on television and what happens when the lights go out," Rodriguez shared. However, Rodriguez doesn't blame the wrestling industry for his struggles. "Wrestling saved my life and it gave me a purpose and it gave me a sense," he said. "Whether as time went on, that was to perform in front of others or teach others how to live a certain dream that they always wanted to do, and that's professional wrestling." Rodriguez now owns and operates 3 Legacies Wrestling Academy in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Previously, Rodriguez worked for WWE from 2010 through 2014 and has continued to stay active on the independent wrestling scene in the years since. That's great. That's actually really good. I'm glad that he wasn't doing well, and then over time he got better, and now he's helping other people. I really like that. When it comes to the overall landscape, right, of not even the WWE, that's why he calls it the rock and roll lifestyle, because when it comes to things like wrestling and basketball and football and UFC and boxing, whether you know it or not, right, you sort of like sign away a part of you. You sacrifice, all of your time, really, depending on who you are, and for some that pays off and for some it doesn't. And when it comes to being on the road and being away from family and being up for all hours of the day and all hours of the night, and you're constantly having to travel and you're missing out on very significant events and you haven't talked to your family in ages, that takes a toll on you, whether you know it or not, whether you want it to or not. That takes a toll on you. And Ricardo Rodriguez is the one in millions of people who are out there now, or were out there, or about to go out there, and have to essentially, they have to close their when they have to close their eyes, and they have to go, "I am about to sacrifice my time, my body, my health, my well-being, for the sake of something that I want to do. I want to do this." Because you have to. You have to want to do something like this. You have to know what comes with wanting to do something like this. Ricardo Rodriguez isn't the first person to come out and say, "Geez Louise, the WWE, it sure is a big hootenanny over there." I mean, there have been countless documentaries about wrestlers and prominent figures, not even in the WWE, just sort of like changing and shifting, and not in a good way, right? Because that's essentially what I'm trying to get at here, is the wrestlers, and not just the wrestlers, everyone who's out there and who has to stay out there, just to sort of keep this moving. They what am I trying to say here? It's hard, and that's why they get addicted. Because you're out there all the time. And some people get addicted to painkillers. Some people get addicted to, I'm going to say some people get addicted to uppers. Now, for those of you who don't know, uppers are a class of drugs that basically, they pep you up. They give you energy, right? As if you're a wrestler and you're on the road constantly, right? You're up a lot. So obviously your body is going to be like, "Hey, we should go to sleep." But sometimes you don't have that luxury. Sometimes you're traveling for long hours, and just before you feel like you have enough time to go to sleep, you have to go out and do you have to go out and promote an upcoming pay-per-view. You have to promote a match. You have to do an interview. You have to sign photographs. You have to do a meet and greet. You have to do a cameo with somebody. Like, you're constantly, like, moving around and talking to people and going to different places. So you need something that's going to keep you awake, keep you alert, keep you energized, right? I'm not saying that that's what people do now. I'm saying that that is how people got to, especially back in the day, right? The most notable person that I can think of when it comes to, hey, I'm on the road a lot, so I'm probably going to need to, be, I'm on the road a lot. I don't want to say I'm on the road a lot. I'm going to go ahead and take crack so I don't fall asleep. No, I'm on the road a lot, and I need energy to essentially, like, get me through all the shit that I need to do. So I'm going to need to find something. I'm going to need to constantly keep taking energy drinks. I'm going to need to be, like, sacrificing sleep. I'm going to need to, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big, like, open-ended, like landscape that all people in this type of industry have to go through, have to deal with, right? And I feel like I'm struggling to talk about this because I have never had to experience something like this. But I know that there's wrestlers now. I mean, maybe now, right? Maybe now it's a lot easier to deal with, right? Because we're in the modern times, and, well, I mean, to sit here and say that, oh, I'm sure it's easier now because we're past that now, and, there's no way that wrestlers could still be doing it. Okay. One thing, obviously, to note is that nobody's fucking doing a bump before they go out into the match, right? Nobody's doing that anymore. But to say that being on the road is a lot easier than it was back then is naive. It's naive because I don't know what it's like out there. If anything, it probably hasn't changed. Has it gotten worse? I really don't think so. But has it gotten better? I can't sit here and say that. But I doubt it's gotten. I would say that things have probably gotten a lot simpler. What with technology and just the way that, again, everything's been, like, modernized and stuff. So maybe stuff that you had to do back then probably doesn't take as long now. But I mean, that isn't to say that the stuff that everybody's doing now, like, isn't easy. You know what I mean? Like, this makes me think about guys like Jake the Snake and how they essentially, like, destroyed their body because they basically tried to power them, not force. Essentially force. I'm trying to not make it seem like wrestlers were just doing drugs just outright just so they could stay up for an extra 2 hours. The point I'm trying to make is that wrestlers did things that they probably weren't supposed to do for the sake of continuing on with their job, right? Like, I don't think Jake the Snake I don't think half of the wrestlers wanted to get addicted to painkillers or become an alcoholic or start doing drugs in the back of their fucking RVs on the way to a next show. I don't think that they woke up and went, I want to be a professional wrestler so that I can die of a drug overdose. That's not something that they wanted to wake up and do, That's just an unfortunate circumstance that doesn't come, but can come with doing something like this. And that again has nothing to do with wrestling. That's just what happened. That's what happens when you go into this type of field. And for somebody like Rodriguez and Jake the Snake and Kurt Angle and a bunch of other wrestlers. Not Kurt Angle. I don't know why I said Kurt Angle. I think, in the sense of, like, because if you're like me, you've read those articles where Kurt Angle's like, I'm in constant pain. I'm always in pain. I have to take painkillers like every 5 hours, otherwise my body's gonna scream at me, right? Like, I don't think Kurt Angle, like, wanted to do that. You know what I mean? I doubt Kurt Angle wants to have to take painkillers and, he's got to get screws in his body and that sort of stuff. I think every now and again stuff like this needs to come out, because I don't think a lot of people know about this. And okay, I think that a lot more people know about it now than they did before. But I think this needs to be more prominent, because I think we need to tell more people, like, hey, not to deter you from this, but this something like this, okay, it's different. It's not the same anymore. Nobody's going out there and injecting themselves with anything, as far as I know. I mean, shit, as far as I know. I don't know, man. When it comes to being on the road and you have to condition your body to get used to the schedule, some people can't do that. That's where, like, energy drinks and other, other methods to help come in. None of this was, they never did any of that stuff because they wanted to. They did it because they felt as though, all right, well, I don't want to, like, fall asleep or anything like that. Like, there's been countless reports of wrestlers going into matches drunk, or they go into matches high, you know what I'm saying? Or they miss a show or something like that, or, they go into rehab, or they get DUIs and that sort of stuff. And, I mean, you can't even link it to just wrestling. I know that I keep saying that over and over again, but it's true. Like, football players do that. Basketball players do that, right? Like, boxers do that. A bunch of, like, prominent sports figures do that because they're just in the industry for so long and they don't want to leave it, but it's taking a toll on them, but they don't want to, like, fall back, or they don't want to start, like, slowing down. So they do this. They do certain things that may not be healthy to sort of keep themselves going, to keep themselves aligned. And for some, it helps. It's not necessarily the most viable option, but for some, that's what they do. And for others, they do it and it doesn't necessarily work out well for them. For some, they go to jail, and others, they unfortunately they unfortunately pass away because of it, So when it comes to Ricardo and how he's opened up about, just because he said one day I woke up in San Antonio, Texas, and I woke up in a hospital detox center. I woke up in a hospital and a detox center. I don't know how I got there. I ended up reaching out on social media, on Twitter, that I needed to get help. Like, it's sad. It's sad that wrestlers and not even wrestlers. Ricardo was not even a wrestler. As far as I know, I don't think he's a wrestler. He was an on-screen manager for a wrestler, and he's dealing with this type of stuff. So, like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's obviously different now, but that doesn't change the fact that people are still going through stuff like this, and it's crazy, man. That this is the kind of thing that you have to sign up for. This is the fine print that whether you read it or not, this is what you're going to go through. Or, okay, not to say that this is exactly what you're going to go through, but I'm saying the sacrifices that you make are going to they're going to affect you, and it depends on who you are as a person on how badly it affects you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Ricardo is a doofus for having this stuff happen to him, but when you think about everything that these guys have to do and go through and sacrifice and fucking put up with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis, are you surprised to know that some of them are in rehab, or in detox, are in a hospital, or are taking painkiller? Are you surprised? Like, I don't really think you should be. I think that which is why I said I think more people need to know about this stuff. I think more people need to be aware that this type of stuff happens. And I'm not saying we have to, like, drop everything that we're doing and make this situation better, because even then I'm sure the situation itself is fixing itself. But I mean, again, you can't just not be on the road. I mean, I don't know how else you would get to the live events. Like, you're going to have to talk to your wife through a Zoom call. You're going to have to miss your daughter's 5th birthday. You're going to have to miss your son's graduation if you want to be out on the road. And wrestlers will come out and they will say, yeah, I missed this and I didn't get to see that and I didn't do this. But they knew what they were signing up for. You know what I mean? So all in all, right? All in all, I said all that to say this. I think that I'm glad that the landscape in terms of what it's like to be on the road is now different. And I'm also glad that we are now in an era where we do not feel as though that we need to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of the business. You know, I feel as though that we are now in an era where if somebody is like, because wrestlers talk about it all the time. That comment that The Undertaker made where, oh, everybody's a softie now and we're all playing video games in the back. Yeah, man, I'd rather that. I would rather everybody fucking doing a Tekken tag tournament in the back and, you know, swapping fucking Welch's fruit snacks from one another and asking if everybody's okay mentally instead of everybody walking around fucking taking a shit in somebody's bag, making somebody change out in the hallway, bullying people. You know, like, I would rather the landscape be a lot more easier to deal with. I would argue that it's probably less stressful now than it used to be. You know, I would argue with a lot more openness and kindness and empathy towards the wrestlers and towards this whole landscape. I think it's a lot easier now than it was back then. And I would rather it stay that way. If anything, I would rather it get easier. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, fucking one day we won't even have to worry about travel. Well, no, I mean, right now, now you're still going to have to travel. You're still going to have to miss significant days of your life. You're still going to have to sit there and go, damn, I haven't seen my wife in months and I wish she was here. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is, man. And I can't really say anything about that. I don't really have a choice in the matter, and they don't either, you know? That's why, again, if you want to do something like this, you have to know what comes with it. You have to know the sacrifices. You have to be willing to make those sacrifices. You have to be willing to be like, all right, there's going to be, you have to be willing to say, hey, there's going to be days where I'm going to feel like shit. There's going to be days where I'm going to be super tired. There's going to be days where I feel like going home and going to sleep, but a fan wants to take a picture. A fan wants to have an autograph. I have to go to a media scrum. There's going to be days like that. And I think that if you are willing to deal with that and go through that, I think as long as you are mentally willing to overcome that, I think that overall it will not be as bad. I don't think it will be as bad, especially now in this modern day and age where a lot of people are more adamant to maintain healthy mental health rather than go with how everything used to be, right? And, drowning your stress and your sorrows and what have you in drugs, because that's another reason why people take them. You know, your body hurts, you're tired, you're angry and you're stressed out, so you do drugs, and that opens up a whole can of worms. So now that we are not even like acknowledging that era anymore, I think that is better for Ricardo and just overall all the wrestlers coming in who are in there now, and wrestlers who were like the Miz and Randy Orton and who else is still there? Edge probably had to deal with a bunch of stuff like that. The Miz when I mentioned, oh, so and so had to change there, the Miz was one of them. You know, the Miz was one of the people who got, hazed and stuff like that, and he doesn't have to deal with that anymore. I'm sure the Miz doesn't do that to anybody. Maybe they'll, fucking joke around and do a lighthearted prank here and there, but it's nothing of the effect of, like, oh my God, I have to, have nerves of steel and I have to, put up with so much while I'm here. You know what I mean? So, I'm glad that, we don't live in that era anymore. And I'm glad that a lot of wrestlers are more open to being vocal about how they feel about certain things. And that's why I want more stuff like this to come out. Okay? Because I feel like a lot of people need to know about it. Speaking of things people need to know about, we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. That's right. Seth Rollins opened the show. The crowd chanted his song. Rollins bragged about beating Matt Riddle and about the Cardiff crowd singing his song. Yeah. Despite the... Fuck, I hate that he laughs after every goddamn sentence. I hate it. Stop laughing after... I get it, Seth. I get it. I get it that your gimmick is laughing. Haha, I understand it. Please, just talk. Stop laughing after every sentence. Spider Riddle's request. Rollins was not interested in a rematch, which is good. I like when the heels do that because then, like... It only makes people want to rematch even more. I like that. As Rollins pondered what was next, the crowd chanted rematch. Rollins said it has been far too long since he held championship gold, which is good. Riddle interrupted. He charged it. Oh, yeah. So he came out and he was like, bro, and then dropped the mic and then ran at him. I like that. He charged the ring and attacked Rollins, dumping him over the top rope. They briefly brawled in the crowd until Rollins managed to escape to the back. Before Riddle could go after him, Finn Balor and Damian Priest entered to their music. Riddle was ready for a fight, but they told him to relax. Priest offered Riddle a spot in Judgment Day. Priest said it wasn't long ago that they were all in the same situation. Superstar was on the rise with something or someone holding them back. Priest said there was no holding them back now, and Balor mentioned how Dominic has grown already. Riddle acknowledged that he and Priest went back a long time, but he was focused on Rollins right now. He turned them down. Balor said laws were a little relaxed in Portland, so Riddle's head must be cloudy. I like that. That's good. The crowd cheered. Balor said Riddle better join or else. Riddle attacked Balor and knocked Priest over the top rope. Commercial break. This match wasn't bad. I really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, I like that. Rey Mysterio flew in from out of nowhere and attacked Priest through the crowd. Riddle followed with a bro to sleep and a German suplex for a near fall. Riddle tried a floating bro, but Balor got his knees up and followed with a shotgun dropkick. Riddle avoided a coup de grace and hit a draping DDT. Oh yeah, and then he was about to do the RKO. And then Rollins came out. Riddle tried going after him, but Balor caught Riddle with an inverted DDT and finished him off with a coup de grace for the pinfall win. What is that move called? I don't know what it's called. Unless it is just the inverted DDT. I was going to call it 1916, but I don't think that's it. So, I don't think it is. I don't know. Rollins stopped Riddle left the match. The announcers tried to get over the fact that Rollins was done with Riddle. The angle felt a bit redundant. No. Okay. No. Because later on in the show, I don't think that this is the case because of what happened later on in the show. I think that I actually don't know what's going to happen. I'm assuming Matt is going to want to be like, hey, I still want that rematch. So we're going to have to see what happens next week. Bayley told Sarah Schreiber that Dakota Kai and Io Sky should have been tag champions in the first place, and the replay of that match made it clear. Kai told her not to worry about the past, and Sky said they would win tonight. Schreiber asked Bayley about being the first person to pin Bianca Belair in over a year. Bayley blew her off, and they left. And then there was a Dominic Mysterio promo video set to some obvious music. Obvious. Wow, I can't read. Ominous music. He said he's always been known as a Mysterio, but at Clash of the Castle, he fought alive for the first time in his life. Edge got what he deserved, and he would finish the job tonight. Dom wanted his father to know that this was his life. Ray should look at himself in the mirror and wonder why he didn't get to know him. Ray should have asked him what he wanted for his career. Dominic said Ray cast a large shadow for such a tiny man, and he was done living under it. That's not nice. Rhea Ripley. Oh, rise up, my short kings. Oh, you're already standing? Oh, okay. Rhea Ripley whispered something in Dom's ear, and he finished saying, I'm not your baby boy anymore. I'm a man. Hey, okay. That's not funny. There was a quick Johnny Gargano video package. Austin Theory did an interview where he introduced Gargano's opponent for tonight, Chad Gable. Gable laughed at the name Johnny Wrestling and said that after tonight he would only be known as Johnny Swoosh. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what? That doesn't make any sense. His name is Johnny Swoosh. I love Gable so much. His name is Johnny Swoosh. That got me. That really poked me. That got me. I mean, the funny bone. I don't know why. Johnny Swoosh. What? Oh, fuck. Shit, man. God damn it, Gable. Johnny Shoes. What are you talking about? What do you mean? What does that mean? Stop. Johnny Shoes. You're an idiot. All right. All right, stop. That's not that funny. I have to focus. Johnny Shoes. I have to focus. Dakota Kai and Io Sky defeated Ali and Raquel Rodriguez to win the Women's Tag Team Championships. I was right. They were transitional champions. I don't know why. Okay, can I be honest with everyone? Please, can I say something controversial yet brave? Am I the only one who felt like that match was just a little bit sloppy? Please, I'm just a boy, all right? I bruise like a peach, all right? Don't run up to me too quickly, all right? Is it me? There was a lot of like mistimed. What was that weird face breaker thing that Dakota and Aaliyah tried to do? Like they both like hit a knee, and then like Dakota like like went over to the ropes. You could tell that they were like trying to set up for spots, but like no one was in their position. Like, I don't know, what was that knee thing? That double knee thing was so weird. Like, listen, absolutely fantastic wrestlers, okay, and absolutely even more fantastic people, but that match just, I don't know, they weren't firing on all cylinders in that match. I don't know why. Oh man, Kai gave Aaliyah a chiropractor. No, she did not. Okay, Kai. They looked like they were trying to like become a wheel. Like Kai like slowly rolled over her, and then Aaliyah had to like fucking spray. Aaliyah had to do like a rock stunner cell, just to Anyway, man. So they're the champions now. Transitional champions. Why? You're okay. It's to pad the resume. Pad the resume? They were champions for like a week. What do you mean pad the resume? They were champions for a week. They were transitional champions. Nobody wants... Okay. If this was in the Vince McMahon era, they would break up. But I don't think Rodriguez and Aaliyah are going to break up. I don't think they are. I hope to Jesus they aren't. I hope that they're going to stay a prominent tag team. And they're just going to fucking do something else. I'm not opposed to Kai and Sky being the champions. I'm not opposed to that. It's the fact that it's what needed to be done in order for that result to play out. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like you didn't need to do that, but I understand why. It's so weird. Like, I know why you did it, but you didn't have to do it. But I understand why. And you could have done it another way, but I understand why you did it now, because I feel like if you waited, it probably wouldn't have been as significant, right? Because you wouldn't want the angle, the program, you don't want it to like, what's the word? Lose momentum. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that you give them the belts now, right? So now they have the belts. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore. Now you got to do whatever storyline that you were going to do with the champions or blah, blah, blah. You just do that, But again, I don't know. Transitional champions, because it makes Raquel and Aaliyah look stupid. Not stupid, but it's like, it makes them look blech because they lost, but whatever. Okay, listen. Ray approached Dominic as he warmed up for his match. Ray saw what Dom said earlier and admitted he didn't know that Dom felt that way, okay? Oh. Ray pleaded with him to do the right thing and not go through with the match. I was like a brother. I like how you're like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. I don't know. Weird that he didn't know that he felt that way. That really says a lot for both Dom and Ray, that Ray didn't know that, That's all I have to say. Ray pleaded with him to do the right thing and not go through with the match. Edge was like a brother to him and an uncle to Dom. He also warned Dom how dangerous Edge could be. Dom didn't look at it once. Ray said if Dom went through with this, things would never be the same. Ripley shut up and pulled Dom away. I like that Dom isn't saying anything to him. I like that. I understand that Ray is trying to be like the overbearing, over-loving father. I get it. I feel like Ray, if there's anybody who's going to play that character, it's Ray. I feel like he fits the role really well. All right, I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in the match. And then Gargano defeated Chad Gable. This was a good match. It was. I really like this match. I knew this match was going to be good, though. Like, I'm not going to sit here and go, wow, I was surprised. No, man, it's fucking Johnny Wrestling and Chad Gable. Like, they're fucking amazing in the ring. Like, they're fantastic. The match was great. I loved it to pieces. Gable was sent to the outside. He fought at the arms of Otis. Gargano hit them with a dive, which sent Otis into the announce table. Gargano hit Gable with one final beat for the pinfall win. I was a bit like, oh, okay, I guess that was the end. I thought he was going to hit him with the kick, but, whatever. I mean, that's his finisher, sure. Otis tried to attack after the match, but Gargano hit him with 2 super kicks. Otis was still on his feet, so Gargano did a crotch chop. Oh, yeah. I didn't get him, damn it. It was a fly on the wall. Anyway, still on his feet. He could a crotch chop, and then he rolled out of the ring. I like that. I like that, like, detail of, like, Otis is too strong, and Gargano didn't necessarily do anything to, like, make Otis look weak, I really like that. And then we had Austin Theory and Kevin Owens segment. After a break, sorry. As Gargano backed up the ramp, Theory attacked him from behind with a briefcase. After a break, Theory bragged about what he did to overrated Johnny Gargano, but his promo was drowned out by what chance? He was also, oh man, they keep wanting him, man. He was also interrupted by Kevin Owens, who got a big reaction. Theory wanted him to shut up. Owens reminded Theory that he was no longer the handpicked guy. Theory let him know that he has accomplished more in a few months than Owens or Gargano had in 5 years. Owens said Theory had everything handed to him. Owens admitted that when he won the Universal title, it was handed to him on a silver platter, but that's where the similarities ended. Owens noted how many guys have showed up in WWE looking just like Theory, but they didn't last because they were a dime a dozen. However, only a handful of guys like Owens or Gargano could make it, and this business needed people like them. This promo was lost on me only because with so many like jabs and Easter eggs and all that sort of stuff, I spent so much time trying to analyze what he was talking about that I don't necessarily think that I took the promo itself at face value. I think he was just like, hey, you're just like everybody in the back. You need to do something that's going to set you apart. I was reading it as like, oh, Vince McMahon isn't here anymore, so guys like Austin Theory are guys like Austin Theory are going to have a harder time standing out and stepping up and standing in front of everybody, because Vince was the type of person to allow people like Austin Theory to do that. But guys like Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens, indie guys, or I guess guys who don't necessarily fit the mold of main event wrestler, now finally have a chance because Triple H is in charge. I don't know why that took me so long to try and fucking figure out while it was happening, and yet I just explained it easily. Anyway. Owens called Theory the appendix of this business, completely expendable. Owens hopes Theory does reach the top, but Owens has been watching him and just doesn't see it in him. He wanted Theory to prove him wrong. Owens fired up and encouraged Theory to leave everything he had in this ring, and that's how he would become the future of WWE. Owens was so good here psyching up Theory that the crowd chanted for him. Theory flexed and told Owens that he would never be like him. I like the way you say he flexed, and he's like, you'll never be like me, Kevin. Never. Owens said talking sense to Theory didn't work, and then he slapped him, and then they brawled. Theory tried to attack with his briefcase, but after Owens ducked and went for a stunner, they bailed. Theory bailed. Theory had a bloody nose, and Owens mocked him, saying he broke his nose, and that was just the beginning. I don't know. I mean, listen, this is great. Theory's doing something, so I would hope that because he's the Money in the Bank holder, he comes out on top after this. So we're going to have to wait and see. Bianca Belair came out for an open challenge. Sonya Deville entered. Deville said she hasn't forgotten what Belair did to her and blamed Belair for costing her the authority position. Did anything happen? I missed that. Hold on. Having some fluids. I didn't see any angles or anything where it was like Sonya is not the general manager anymore. I don't care. I don't care that I missed it. I'm so fucking glad that it is now just down to one person. And I'm not saying that Sonya was the reason why that sucked. They both were fucking horrible. Both of them were absolutely unnecessary. But if we're going to narrow it down to one, that should make things a lot simpler and a lot easier, okay? Having two of them run around and be like, oh, well, I guess that's the main event. Oh, well, I guess that's a match. You two are fucking incompetent, man. Both of you, all right? So, also, I'm glad that Sonya's back to being a goddamn wrestler, okay? Jeez Louise. She was better at that, all right? I didn't want her to be a general manager anyway. That was dumb. I don't like when they do that. Wrestlers who are perfectly fine wrestling and they just take them out of the wrestling role. Adam Cole shaving his... Anyway. Corey Graves said that Deville is a badass, legitimately speaking, which is an odd thing to say. Because she's UFC, because she knows how to fight people, so she's a badass. She knows how to, like, ground and pound and all that sort of stuff, so I understand. Corey Graves was fucking just laying into Deville this entire time, because she was like, oh, if she wants to be a champion, she needs to do stuff like this, and she needs to not be doing stuff like that, you know what I mean? So, but, it wasn't a bad match. I like when there's a champion and there's a challenger and the champion wins, but the champion wins like barely. Like that I'm not going to look at that as, oh, Belair, she got her ass kicked. No, I'm looking at that as Sonya Deville is actually like a credible challenger, and Belair was like, oh shit, I got to look out for Sonya Deville. I like that. I also like the added detail of Corey Graves mentioned where an open challenge isn't smart because you don't know who's coming out. So you can't prepare for the match. So anybody could come out and they could win because you didn't properly train for their offense or you didn't watch any of their tapes. I like that. I like that detail. Deville controlled through a commercial. She dodged a moonsault and a running knee for two. Belair came back with a spine buster for a spine. Deville hit some sort of knee. Right. I thought it was a drop kick. I like Belair selling, but I thought the camera angle made me think it was a drop kick, but I guess it was a knee. I don't know. Belair hit the KOD moments later for the pinfall win. Bayley entered after the match. She said Damage Control was here to take over the division and bragged about being the first to defeat Belair in over 300 days, despite not even having a match herself in over a year, aside from the one Ali match in Toronto. Damage Control surrounded the ring like the Shield, and they jumped Belair. They attacked until Asuka and Alexa Bliss made the save. Bayley was left alone in the ring, so Belair gave her a spine buster. Okay. I like that Alexa and Asuka came out, so sort of like continues their alliance, but it isn't necessarily focusing on that anymore. Like, we're not really focusing, or maybe, I don't know. I understand because Damage Control are 3 people and Belair is 1 person, so it makes sense to have 2 more people, like, allied with her, you know what I mean? But I also like that they are not just, like, lumping them together, like, automatically, you know what I mean? I just like that they're allies, you know what I mean? Then we had a 1-2 handicap match. Omos defeated 2 guys. Omos won. What a surprise. Omos is back on TV. Great. Omos is back on TV. I really didn't think Omos was going to go back on TV. Who else? Shanky? Shanky hasn't been on TV. Who else? Shush. No one say anything. Shut up. I need complete silence. Don't say a single word. Who else is off TV and is now back on? Omos. That was the thing. Omos and Shanky. Shush. 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 Hold on. Who's the... No, I don't know. I can't think of anybody else. I think it was just Omos. Why do I feel like there's a third one? Why am I getting the feeling that there's like a third guy that was on TV that Vince liked and then he took him off? I don't know who it was. I don't know. Anyway, Sportsnet in Canada was having technical... Oh, yeah. So everybody was talking about this. Sportsnet in Canada was having technical difficulties, so I could only hear what was happening. I understand USA Network was having trouble too. The video feed returned as soon as the match was over. That's why we didn't see it. I'm like, weird that not even WWE made anything about this. That's very strange, because the feed went out. I saw this on Twitter. Everybody was like, oh, that's new, you know. So that must have been what happened. Ray tried pleading with Edge, but Edge said if anyone should deal with Dominic, it should be him. Kevin Patrick approached Rollins, who was annoyed that he still had to deal with Riddle. He wondered how many times he'd have to stomp Riddle's head into the ground. Bobby Lashley approached Rollins. He questioned Rollins calling himself the face of Raw because he wasn't the one with the gold. Rollins said the U.S. title wasn't the one he was referencing earlier when he said he wanted gold, but challenged him to a title match next week. Lashley gladly accepted. I don't know what happened, but he was like, yeah, I'm going to challenge you, haha. And then Lashley was like, yeah, let's fight about it. And then Rollins got like really quiet and like stared. Yeah, Rollins, that's what happens when you challenge someone to a match, they fight. Why did you... I don't understand. Did you forget that Lashley was a... Did you look at the belt and go, I'm going to wrestle the belt. Here we go. Well, I don't understand. That was weird. Anyway, there was a tape segment. Okay. Okay, I need to read it. Let me read it first. There was a tape segment with The Miz at his house. He said this was the only way you'd get to see him on Raw, considering what's been happening the past few weeks. His daughters approached him before he got them to go to bed. I love them because they just ran up and they didn't say anything, and then they ran him to the piano. Like, you guys, it's a great man. You can tell they were just like, all right, run him, and then just slap the shit out of the piano keys and then run off. Don't say anything. Okay, it's great. They're all in these weird fucking nightgowns. Why do you have to be in a night? Okay, no. I understand because, you know, you're sleeping and you could sweat and all this, so I understand. But whatever. What's happening last week? Thought approached him before he got them to go to bed. Maurice approached him and told him to wrap it up soon because they had a premiere to go to. Miz was wary about leaving the house, but she tried reassuring him before going to the car. Miz sat down to conduct the interview, but the interview kept asking about Dexter Lumis, so Miz cut it short. Miz and Maurice left in their SUV. That was not an SUV. Okay, it was like a Jeep. You know, like Range Rover. It was like that. It wasn't technically it was an SUV, but it was like a Wrangler Rover type. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was like a Jeep type deal. And then so in the beginning, the Miz was like, yeah, something, and he was like, you like the piano? And it panned over, and you see Dexter in the mirror. You see Dexter in the window, and then it pans back. Good detail. Then they drove off. I like the lav mics in the car. I like the lav mics. I like how Miz didn't take the lav mic off. Anyway, they drove off, and then I want to give a shout out to the fucking cameraman for just allowing my man to be in the house. My man panned the camera over, and he showed a picture, and all of a sudden was Miz and Mrs., and that was it. I want to give a shout out to my man for just allowing that to happen. Didn't pull his cell phone out. Didn't say, hey, what are you doing in there? He just let it happen. Great. Breaking it. By the way, that's a crime, by the way. Corey Graves on commentary seemed to be the only one who was like, hello? What the fuck is going on, guys? You know? So, Karen Van back. inside the house, and Loomis was there. He had a drawing of Ms. and Maurice with their daughters, and he held it up for the camera. So Loomis is in the house with the Mrs. daughters, and presumably... Okay, that's another thing. I'm like, wait a minute. So Dexter's in there. Aren't his daughters in there, too? I didn't know about the babysitter, but I know his daughters are in there. Is that... What's happening? I don't know. Okay. They had a long replay of earlier Owen series segment. And then we had Edge and Dom. They made comments about Dominic's three amigos move. Look, whatever. I like the idea that he's doing a poor job at it because it just means more heat for him. Whatever. I don't care, man. He's a fucking... Oh, Jailer. It's what, like his second year? Like, relax. He just fucking... It was like what? Like his fucking fifth single? Like, calm the fuck down. All right? It's not that fucking big of a deal. Jesus. He's in the ring with Edge, okay? And he's got a story. If there's anyone who's gonna help him through this, it's Edge and Ray and Finn and Damian. Like, he's fine. Relax. Let him be in the fucking ring. Be happy he's not cutting it. Well, he did cut a promo. And you know what? It was fine. All right? I hope to Jesus they don't have him go out to a live crowd. He has to train way more before he can even think about going out to a live crowd. Okay? Because if he pulls a Ronda Rousey and doesn't react well to like the what chants or the crowd's not like, receiving him well, then he needs to know what to do in that regard. And I'm not saying that he needs to fucking go out there now. Give him more time. All right? Jeez. He's just a boy. Anyway. Ed strapped Dom's arms in the ropes and hammered away at him as the crowd counted along till the ref shoved him off. Graves said Dom was being taught a lesson by Uncle Adam. Edge was about to go for a spear with Dom still trapped, but Ray... Yeah, that would have been weird. If he speared him. Because he would have had to have speared him, like, through the ropes, and they both would have had to fall. So as he was about to do Ray jumped in, which I understand, but then it kind of gets Ray on the bad end, because they booed him, So, I don't know. He was about to go for his spear, but with Dom still trapped, Ray jumped in to stop him. Edge and Ray argued, and Edge brushed him aside. Priest yanked Ray out of the ring as Balor attacked Edge for the DQ. I think Priest did something to Ray outside the ring, but the camera didn't catch it. Ripley hit Edge is like, okay, can I just say, I was pissed because first of all, Edge hit the educator on him. No one said anything. Edge hit the execution. They called it an impaler DDT. I was ready to jump through the screen. The impaler, he has a name for it. It's the execution. All this wrestling knowledge going to waste. What am I doing here? Impaler. How dare you? Oh, there goes John Cena with his fireman's carry. What? What are you talking about? Oh, there goes Batista with his power bomb. Huh? What are you doing? What is this? Fuck, what the hell? Sorry. Type of nonsense. Anyway. Oh, there goes Chris Jericho with his Boston Crab. The fuck am I doing? What the fuck? Sorry. Calm down. Okay, relax. At least they said it right. Okay, it is the Impaler DDT. But anyway, all right. So that was Raw. 3 out of 10. Serviceable. Not bad, but serviceable. Favorite match: Johnny Gargano versus Chad Gable. I really like that. They're both incredible wrestlers, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I like that Braun Strowman was not even on Raw this week. Okay, he's a fucking asshole. Anyway, no, he's not. Well, he's an idiot. Okay, we can agree to that. Okay, one thing we can also agree on is SmackDown has its biggest audience in months while Rampage numbers dip again. Okay, SmackDown, the ratings are in for September 9th. What is this? Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway. SmackDown enjoyed a nice balance coming out of Clash at the Castle, and again, not being preempted by an NFL preseason, by any NFL preseason games. These were more than just increases over the week prior, too. The Blue Show was watched by 2.37 million, its biggest audience since June 17th. The .57 rating among 18 to 49-year-olds was the best since July 22. Wow. July 22nd. I don't know why I read it like that. I don't know why. I saw July and then the number 22. My brain was like, just disconnect them. You're fine. AEW is also coming off of pay-per-view the weekend before and put some big matches on the latest episode of Rampage. Unfortunately, neither helped grow the audience. Viewership was down 11.5% from the All Out Go Home, dropping to 429,000. The .14 demo rating was a 12.5% decline from September 2nd. ESPN's coverage of the U.S. Open won the night with a .76 rating, but SmackDown was second on all of television. That included beating ESPN2's coverage of college football, which scored a .52 to finish the second on cable and third on all of TV. Rampage finished 16th among cable originals. I think the problem is that Tony he's not telling everybody that Rampage is not even the A show. It's the A plus show, the A minus show. If you are treating the show less than, people are going to watch it and treat it as less than. It also doesn't help that the show is an hour long. I'm sure that is hindering ratings too. So that's less time for promos, angles, matches. Like you're sort of putting yourself at a disadvantage. But I'm not Warner Media, right? I'm not TBS, and I'm not Tony Khan. So I'm sure there's a myriad of different reasons as to why the show is not doing as well. I'm sure there is. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, it needs this, and oh, it would be better if that happened, because there may be certain circumstances that hinder the show from being what Tony Khan probably wants it to be. However, that does not excuse the fact that the show could be doing better. It just isn't. I feel as though that if I think that they should just feature more prominent matches. Don't even think of it like the B show. Don't even look at NXT like developmental. Just treat all shows the same, and over time, people will start acknowledging the show as an equal to Dynamite instead of, the B show to Dynamite. Because if you treat it as the B show to Dynamite, no one's going to tune in. No one's going to want to watch it. You're going to have people want to watch it, obviously, but more people are going to want to watch Dynamite because it feels more like the main show than people are going to watch Rampage because that feels like the lesser show. And also, it doesn't help. Doesn't Rampage come on in terms of recording, right, for the shows and the tapings, right? Doesn't Rampage tape right after Dynamite, so everybody's deflated and all the matches are really quick and the angles don't really last as long? Like, it's not that. I can assure you is not helping them. I can assure you that's probably not helping them. But then again, I can't sit here and say, oh, if this happened, it'd be better. Like, I'm not Tony Khan, so really, I don't know. But I'm sure Tony sees this, right? But then again, I don't know. I think that it would help if they treated it more significantly. If they gave Rampage more significance, I feel as though that it would help them. Next, we're going to be talking about Johnny Gargano and how he explains why a big part of him didn't want to make a WWE return in Cleveland. Where the hell am I going? Okay, hold on. I'm trying to make sure. During a recent appearance on After the Bell, Gargano commented on the reaction he received that night and also why he was hesitant to have it happen in Cleveland. It was very fun to be able to literally keep a secret in a time period where that doesn't happen, Gargano said. Everything leaks nowadays. Everything in wrestling leaks, and I remember when I was younger, I loved things during the Attitude Era where you'd be watching Nitro, you'd be watching Raw, and someone would just show up and you'd be like, what the hell is going on? I can't believe they're here. The dirt sheets and things like that were around, but it also wasn't as prevalent as it is today with the internet and whatnot. That was the most important thing to me for this secret, for this return, was to make it a complete surprise. Obviously, I could have come back 2 weeks prior in Cleveland, but everyone believed that. Everyone thought that was going to happen. That's probably why it didn't happen. It could have been great. Okay, sorry. It would have been great. I would love to come back in my hometown. I still haven't wrestled in that arena, which is mind-blowing to me. It was really important for me to just keep this whole thing under wraps as much as possible. The fact that we were able to do that, the fact that I flew into Buffalo and I was snuck across the border. Snuck legally across the border. We're not getting in trouble here. Snuck across the border to Toronto. Gargano clarified that, okay? Everything's fine. All right, it's legal. Look. Here's my passport. See? Look, all right? Everything's fine. We did everything by the books, okay? Please. Mounties, don't do anything. A big part of me didn't want to come back in Cleveland because I knew if I would have come back in Cleveland, it would have gotten an amazing reaction. But people would have been like, oh, he's this little kid from NXT, and he got the reaction because it's in his hometown. So to come back in Toronto in an arena, I think like 16,000 people might have been in that arena. It was really cool because the commercial break happened. We came back from commercial break, and then my music started playing. The reaction was such a cool reaction to experience because it was like the music hit, and everyone was like, wait a minute, that's familiar. What is this? And then my name came across the Tron, and everyone was like, wait a minute, what's going on right now? What's happening? And then I walked out, and everyone lost their minds. And then the Johnny Wrestling chant started, and everyone was super fun to play with. That, for me, is going to be one of the lasting memories for me, is that the gradual pop and the gradual reaction when people realized what was happening. Gargano also told a story about how watching Stranger Things and listening to the Kate Bush song Running Up That Hill during his free agency played a role in his decision to return to WWE. You want to know why? Because that same fucking song played during the video package between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker for the WrestleMania 26 feud. Okay? I fucking got a goddamn steel trap up here. Okay? Also, I love Shawn Michaels to pieces, and that is probably one of my most favorite wrestling video packages known to man, right next to Daniel Bryan's Monster, and then right under that, What's like my third favorite? Oh, my third favorite is Triple H versus Randy Orton. I like that too. This is when I knew what I wanted to do. I was watching Stranger Things and the song came on, and the first thing popped in my head was, wait a minute, that's Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker song from WrestleMania. That's right. Placebo did a cover of it. Okay. Gosh, I watched the hype video for Shawn and Taker from Mania, and I sat there in the kitchen. Candace is right there, and she's right there. She can tell you this. I sat there in the kitchen, and I watched this hype video, and she's doing baby stuff, and it just hit me watching this video. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be, and this is what I want to do. Okay? You see, that's the slow when the part where Shawn Michaels is at the podium and he's like, thank you for the award, and he walks away and it goes boom, 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 and it plays the fucking recap of Shawn Michaels losing to WrestleMania, and he's standing there and he's contemplating and he's thinking about it, and he turns back around and he says, you know something, Undertaker, I can beat you. Okay, you get fired up, you're ready to fucking go, you and me, WrestleMania one more time. And then everybody fucking goes crazy, and then he fucking calls him out, and then the Undertaker goes, my answer is no. And then Shawn, fuck out, god damn it. And then he's like, I know what I have to do. I have to face you. I have to win WrestleMania. I have to win the Royal Rumble and face you at WrestleMania. And now the pressure is on for Shawn Michaels to win the Royal Rumble so he can face the Undertaker at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. I need to stop, otherwise, oh, fuck me, man. I'm just going to go absolutely insane. I need to stop. And you see me watching this video. This is why I got into this, to have videos like this about me, but also to have these WrestleMania stories and matches, and I haven't had that yet. I haven't had that WrestleMania moment. I haven't had that WrestleMania match. Gargano was also asked how close he was to signing with another company during his free agency. Oh, just say it. Gosh, this is so dumb. It crossed my mind, but I was at the point, too, where I wasn't ready to come back yet. I was enjoying myself. Obviously, I have people who work around me that go out and talk to other places. I luckily have a great team around me that makes stuff happen for me, that had those discussions, so I don't have to. Good, all right? Jesus Christ, I can only imagine. So, you're going to AEW? So, have you heard about AEW? Hey, well, no, nobody's really over there, so he doesn't really have any affiliations, so never mind. Anyway. Obviously, it crossed my mind and continued. I watch everything. I'm a wrestling fan at the end of the day. We're all just wrestling nerds, so I watch everything, but it always just came back down to when I was a little kid, and I said this in my return promo. When I was a little kid, I dreamed of becoming Intercontinental Champion. I dreamed of becoming WWE Champion. I dreamed of wrestling at WrestleMania. Those things hold so much weight to me. Sorry, I'm still reeling, okay? Jesus Christ, what a video package. Anyway. But I understand where he's coming from. I understand. In a day and age where every single fucking person and their grandmother is now a wrestling news journalist, and all they do is go on to fucking ringside or cage side and that sort of stuff, and they follow Brian Alvarez and everything, it's very, very, very difficult to have surprises and twists and turns happen. You know what I mean? So I understand where Johnny's coming from in the sense of, like, you don't want to do the predictable thing. Sometimes, in the case of AEW, sometimes doing the predictable thing is the the best thing to do because it's what everybody wants, you know? So maybe the best idea is to go with the most predictable thing, just so everybody at the end of the day can be like, just fucking over the goddamn moon. You know what I mean? Other times, though, you don't go with the predictable thing because it's what every single one is thinking about. Obviously, you're going to assume that something like that is going to happen because that's what it's pointing to. That's all the more reason not to do it, okay? So now you don't know what the fuck's going on, okay? You gotta zig when they think you're gonna zag, and then when you're zagging and they go, oh, I bet he's gonna fucking zag, that's when you fucking zog, okay? That's when you go up instead of left or right. All right, that's how you have to do it. You have to play the game like that in order for, like, you know, in order to keep these people on their toes. I don't think a casual fan is really gonna give half a shit, but when it's guys like me, you know what I mean, who have their ears to the streets, you want to do stuff like this so that, you know, you kind of like keep everybody out of the loop on purpose. You know, I think I wouldn't be surprised if WWE and AEW started doing the thing that Marvel did, where they just put in a bunch of fucking false trailers to get everybody off of their scent. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really surprised about Johnny Gargano saying that sort of stuff, you know, and I understand where he's coming from. One thing that I am surprised about, though, is Triple H no longer planning to use Gable Steveson. Despite showing up at big WWE events and getting spotted on camera with some considerable fanfare that even translated to a WrestleMania moment, Steveson hasn't debuted for the company. A recent report from the Wrestling Observer newsletter pointed towards Steveson being cold at the moment, and his poor performance in training is to blame for that. Everything is cold on Gable Steveson. His brother is doing great, and they wanted to debut him some time ago, but it hasn't happened because reviews on his training progress haven't been good. They were going to fast track him after he finished his last season in March, but he hasn't even been around or talked about. Ringside News immediately reached out for clarification when this report dropped. A tenured member of the writing team confirmed that Steveson is not being talked about at all, and this all came from the top. We were told that Stevenson's name isn't coming up at all. Maybe that makes him cold, but he's not a topic of conversation. We've heard nothing. He's not talked about. It was made clear that this is not an instance of no creative pitch for him. This situation is, quote, about the fact he's not on a list of people to talk about. Whatever he's done, he's not on the list. So this is something that is from way up top. Okay. The top used to be Vince McMahon, but now Triple H is calling the shots. It's not known exactly what the issue is with Gable Steveson. It's not known exactly what the issue with Gable Steveson is, but even Triple H, someone who's incredibly high on the Olympic gold medalist, is not including him in the company's immediate plans. If he's not ready to be in the ring, don't put his bitch ass in the ring. If he is still green, if he has no goddamn idea what he's doing, don't put him in the ring. Vince. Cough, cough. Omos. Cough, cough. Logan Paul is actually pretty good. Hey man, if he's not ready, he's not ready. Okay, let me see something. They were going to fast track him after he finished his last season in March. Vince was just gonna be like, no, just come on, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, just slap somebody and then pin them, and then we'll just give you the belt. It doesn't matter. That more than likely is what would have happened if Vince was still in charge. But now the Triple H. So okay. This situation is okay. It was made clear that this is not an instance of no creative pitch for him. Used to be now Triple H calling shots. It's not exactly what the issue is. Gable Steveson, whatever he's done, he's not on the list. So that is something that is from way up top. So they just don't really have any plans for him right now. That doesn't mean that like he doesn't have any like creative or anything like that, but right now, they're just not really talking about him, which is fine. I don't really see an issue with that. If he's not ready to come in the ring, holy Lord, don't put him in the ring. All right? Jeez. Because I can only imagine what Vince would have had this guy do, okay? I'm sure he would have fucking kissed the ground he walked on. I'm not denying that Vince would have made him look like $1 million, but he wouldn't have been ready, and it would have been very prominent, okay? And that would have soured a lot of people. And also, Vince probably would have gave him the guy treatment, and I don't really think anybody would have. I don't think anybody would want to warm up to somebody who is getting the forceful guy treatment. So, I mean, from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like Triple H doesn't. It doesn't sound like Triple H does not want him to be in the WWE. It just sounds like Triple H is dealing with other things, and Gable Steveson is just not at the top of the list at the moment. So I understand. Lastly, we are going to be talking about Eric Bischoff and how he wishes Tony Khan had included this in his opening AEW Dynamite address. I don't want to keep talking about this anymore. I will talk about it if there's more, relevant news. But I don't want to keep talking about this anymore because I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. So 9 times out of 10, this is more than likely going to be the last time you hear me talking about this. Unless something absolutely unless it comes out that, bruh, can I just say, can you fucking imagine if this shit was a work? Can you, I know obviously it's not, but can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine if it just came out and all of it, every ounce, every single, even Eric, can you imagine if everyone was in on it? And then when I gotcha, bruh, I would fall apart. I wouldn't do wrestling anymore. I'd be like, bruh, that's it. I don't know I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. Who am I? Where am I? How did I get here? Okay, I would start having fucking a crisis. Geez, is wrestling real? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, bro, that would be great. Now I know, obviously not, but fuck, man. Just, I would love that so much. Even just to fuck with everybody if Tony Khan and CM Punk, that would be so great, man. If it was just like a fucking video and they're all standing there and they're like, yep, gotcha. And then it cut off and it turns out it actually was a fucking, a shoot. Just shake it up. Is it real? Is it fake? You'll never know, and I'll never tell you. And then you just run away, and you run away into the night. Okay, and their head explodes because they have no idea. Oh man, that'd be great. All right. Recently, Eric Bischoff gave his 2 cents on the Strictly Business podcast. I don't know what those noises were either. When it came down to it, Bischoff had one main concern with Khan's appearance. I wish Tony is it the fact that he didn't fucking blink? Jesus. I wish Tony had said something other than just saying he vacated the titles because you can't assume everyone on the show is following on the internet, he said. You have to mention what's going on. Matt, Nick, Kenny, Punk are all of AEW programming following the altercation. Are all off of AEW programming following the altercation that came after Punk's comments during the post AEW All Out Media Scrum. The criticism stems from Khan not mentioning the reason he was forced to vacate the newly won championships and going even a step further to not even mention CM Punk or the Elite by name during last Wednesday's Dynamite. Last Wednesday at the time of this recording. Oh yeah, today. Okay. Hold on, I lost my place. Shut up. Dynamite. The criticism has been echoed by others in the wrestling world, and it remains echoed by others. Who? Pete, shut the hell up, Rosenberg. God, that was rude. That was mean. He's allowed to have an opinion. Okay, just like how I'm allowed to have an opinion. I do not need to speak like that to someone. Okay, that was very uncalled for, and I apologize. Currently, from the perspective of a casual fan that watches both AEW's weekly TV shows and their pay-per-views, the last time any of the 4 were seen was in Triumph with freshly won championships. To casual fans who don't watch anything or know anything, Bischoff said, now you don't know. I understand why. There's a reason why we don't talk about Eddie Guerrero. Well, no, there's a reason why we don't talk about Chris Benoit. There's a reason why. There's a reason we're not talking. I'm not comparing it. Relax. I'm just saying there's a reason why we don't speak of it. I understand. It's first of all, it's the circumstances as to how all of this happened. If I was Tony, I wouldn't speak of it either. Okay? I'm not saying Punk's name. I'll probably say Kenny's name and the Bucks' name, but I'm not saying Punk's name. Okay? Because I'm not about to give him any spotlight for this. After what he did and what he said and how he acted, I'm not saying his name. I'm calling him the world champion. The former world champion. I'm not talking about him on TV. And you have to understand where Tony's coming from. I 100% understand where Tony's coming from. I'm not talking about this. All I'm going to say is, hey, I understand. Okay, I did talk about this. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think it was along the lines of hey, you should at least, what's the word? Make some sort of reference towards why the titles were vacated. Say something. Don't be like don't just be like I took it off them. You can't say that. You have to have some. Even, I don't know, because I don't necessarily know how else you would say it. Just say, hey, CM Punk did not conduct himself professionally after the show. And I felt as though that it was within the company's best interest to remove the title from him and let him sort out the situation. And then return to me when everything has been settled and everything is fine again. In terms of the Young Bucks, okay, to be fair, Tony wasn't there, so I would understand why Tony's like, I don't even want to mention any of them. I don't want to mention anybody. That's fair. You know what? That's fair. Because I'm sure if I know anything, and that's very few things, I'm sure Tony was sitting there in front of the camera going, do I tell them what happened? Do I allude to what happened? Do I mention it and somehow keep it in kayfabe? I'm sure he was mulling it over, which is why I'm not surprised that he was probably like this, right? He's probably thinking, and then went, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just not going to say anything. I'm not going to mention him. I'm just going to say, hey, they don't have the titles anymore. I understand. You have to understand where Tony's coming from in that sense. That he didn't want to mention, I was like Chris Jericho. He didn't want to mention CM Punk, and he didn't want to mention the Bucks. I'm also thinking of it from a legal standpoint of, I don't know everything that happened, so I can't sit here and say, oh, so-and-so did this because of that, and so-and-so did that because of this. I don't know. So until the news comes out, until all the accounts are finally lined up, and we finally see what happened, and we finally get a neutral party to talk about it, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to plead the fifth until my lawyer walks in. Okay? Which is fair. I understand where Eric is coming from. In the sense of casual fans and kayfabe, give a reason. Tell everybody something. You know, don't just leave it in the dark and everybody's confused and it sort of starts to plant a seed of mistrust. You know what I mean? Distrust, right? Anyway, the point is, I understand both parties. I completely understand both parties. But if you're Tony Khan, you don't want to give it any more spotlight than it already has. You just want to move on. You just want to go, hey, that happened, and we're not talking about it anymore, okay? Everyone is talking about it enough for me to not even say anything, all right? Obviously, I'm the guy. I'm the head honcho. I'm the up top. So you want to hear something from me, but you know what? I'm the head honcho. I'm the guy. I'm the one up top. I'm not worrying about this right now. I've got a fucking myriad of other things to deal with, okay? This is the last fucking thing that I want to constantly keep talking about, all right? I'm not talking about it. They're suspended. Titles have been stripped. That's all you need to know, all right? We're continuing on. Folks, what did we talk about today? Ricardo Rodriguez opens up about dangerous effects of pro wrestling. I feel, okay, I was very all over the place with this because I'm not on the road, so I don't necessarily know the true ins and outs. But again, I'm glad that we are now in a more modern era and we don't necessarily have to worry not too much about the wrestlers and their well-being, because I feel like now we are in a more open and understanding and forgiving world to where wrestlers shouldn't have to feel as though that they need to isolate or dissociate or find other harmful outlets to stop themselves from getting too stressed out and burned out and not wanting to do this anymore. Raw gets a 3 out of 5, and my favorite match was Gable versus Gargano. SmackDown did great. Rampage did not so great. I think it would help if Rampage was just a little bit longer and wasn't treated like the B-Show, but that's just me. Gargano wants to zig when everybody thinks he's going to zag, and I completely understand. And Triple H, well, we're going to have to wait and see what Triple H thinks. Well, no, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Gable Steveson. Right now, nothing. Does that mean anything bad? No, man. God, it just means that right now other stuff is happening, and Gable, let him train. Jeez Louise, okay? Put him on his ass as many times as you want, okay? Because I don't want him coming in here and getting himself hurt or getting other people hurt or people turning on him because they don't think that he's ready to be in the match, all right? So keep him away for as long as you want. And Bischoff, I understand where you're coming from, but I understand where Tony Khan is coming from more, so I'm going to have to side with him on this, okay? Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Turnbuckle. I want to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs all around.